Guys, today we have fresh data showing nearly 45% of XRP wallets holding less than 100 XRP, sparking whispers of retail capitulation. Yet, what is this wallet purge is actually the perfect setup for institutional takeover, fueled by presidential connections that could unlock regulatory clarity, strategic reserves, and massive adoption. I've been connecting these dots from wallet shifts to global partnerships, and the story emerging is electric. XRP isn't fading. It's gearing up to become the utility powerhouse reshaping finance. Detractors won't like this, but the catalysts are stacking up like dominoes, ready to fall. Let's unpack why this could be the reset that launches XRP into the stratosphere. Remember, guys, this is not financial advice, just my enthusiastic breakdown of the connections and trends I'm spotting in the crypto space. To really grasp this, we need to dissect that wallet statistic layer by layer, because it's far more than a cold number. It's a mirror reflecting the raw psychology of the market. As of late January 2026, roughly 2.5 million wallets are lingering near empty, accounting for about 45% of all addresses on the ledger. At face value, it paints a picture of mass exodus. Enthusiastic newcomers who piled in during the electrifying hype cycles of 2024 and 2025, dreaming of overnight riches only to get scorched by prolonged sideways trading, foggy regulations, and the occasional sharp dip. They chased quick flips, but when the excitement faded and volatility turned to a dull hum, impatience won out. And sure, that's accurate to an extent. Impatience is the silent assassin in crypto, claiming more victims than any bear market. Retail traders by nature aren't wired for the marathon when news cycles go quiet and price action flatlines into oblivion. But here's the twist that flips the entire story on its head. This isn't outright destruction or evaporation. It's a profound evolution. Picture a raging forest fire that chars the fragile undergrowth, yet leaves the ancient deep-rooted oaks standing taller and healthier. Those near-empty wallets aren't just disappearing. They're facilitating a massive transfer of XRP. On-chain metrics reveal that small holders with under 1,000 XRP have been steadily offloading over the past month, creating a consistent bleed-out. Yet, in stark contrast, the mega wallets, those colossal holders clutching between 10 million and 1 billion XRP, are devouring it all with voracious appetite. This isn't haphazard trading. It's calculated, aggressive accumulation. For example, certain prominent large addresses have seen net inflows surging into the tens of millions recently, while the mid-tier distributors, likely weary retail or short-term speculators, are the ones cashing out. This split isn't random chaos. The whales and institutions aren't twitching at every candlestick flicker or succumbing to the latest FUD storm on social media. They're gearing up for utility-driven explosions that will eclipse any temporary market static. And tying this back to the presidential angle, think about how the president's administration has been vocal about building a strategic crypto reserve. With XRP explicitly mentioned in those plans, it's no wonder institutions are positioning now. They see the writing on the wall for government-backed utility that could make XRP indispensable for settlements and reserves. Now, let's turn the spotlight on the swirling vortex of misinformation that's amplifying this drama, because it's crucial to call it out. Bitcoin maximalists, those diehard purists who worship decentralization above all, are quick to jump in with their doomsday chants, labeling the XRP ledger as dead, simply because retail engagement appears to be waning. They harp on XRP's relative underperformance over the past couple of years, where it trailed behind the fireworks and ecosystems like Solana or Ethereum, which delivered jaw-dropping cycles. And yeah, that's a valid jab. Market sentiment plunged into extreme fear territory 3 times just in January 2026 alone. And the sting of opportunity cost is real when your holdings languish while others skyrocket. But come on, guys, that's surface-level scrutiny at best, bordering on intellectual laziness. True dead assets don't get systematically absorbed. They decay into irrelevance. In XRP's case, the supply isn't scattering to the winds. It's funneling into fortified vaults. Look at exchange reserves. They've plummeted to around 1.6 billion tokens, marking a 7-year nadir from the 4 billion highs of just a year prior. This isn't a frantic retail dump. It's a tactical retreat into cold storage and robust institutional custody solutions. Meanwhile, hefty transfers exceeding $100,000 have spiked to a 3-month peak in recent weeks, broadcasting clear signals of purposeful whale activity. And don't overlook the ETF vaults. They've swelled from 760 million to over 766 million XRP in mere days at the year's dawn. This is purification through fire, not failure. Remember, every transaction requires a buyer for every seller. And currently, the buyers are the visionaries plotting multi-year horizons, not the chasers of weekly pumps. It's hypocritical for maxis to decry XRP's setup while ignoring how their own asset saturation dilutes impact. Bitcoin's hundreds of millions of holders make it stable but less explosive, whereas XRP's concentrated structure primes it for asymmetric moves. Now layer in the president's influence. His executive order establishing a digital asset stockpile, including XRP, has created a buzz that's drawing in traditional finance. Reports even show White House officials holding millions in these proposed reserve assets, signaling insider confidence. This isn't just politics. It's a catalyst accelerating the shift from retail speculation to institutional dominance. So why does all this wallet drama hold such weight for XRP's overarching narrative? Because this retail purge is impeccably synchronized with tectonic plates shifting in global finance, all pointing toward undeniable utility. Let's start connecting those dots in Europe, where the European Central Bank has unleashed a game changer that's got my enthusiasm levels soaring. On January 27, 2026, the ECB declared that DT-BAS-based assets will qualify as eligible collateral for Eurosystem credit operations effective March 30th. This isn't empty rhetoric. It's prying open portals for tokenized securities to integrate seamlessly with central bank liquidity flows. And at the epicenter, Axiology's innovative platform constructed on a permissioned iteration of the XRP ledger, managing the full spectrum from bond issuances to intricate settlements. The ECB's documentation spotlight XRP's payment primitives, embedding directly into debt securities workflows, leveraging escrows for flawless delivery versus payment mechanics. This is no pie-in-the-sky promise. It's battle-tested and ramping up. Ripple has secured comprehensive regulatory green lights in the UK and EU, including EMI licenses that empower them to mint E1E and orchestrate payments. Alliances like ClearJunction deliver seamless GBP and Euro bridging, fusing traditional fiat with on-chain innovations. Ponder this. As retail bows out, Europe is fundamentally re-architecting its financial infrastructure, with XRP's technology as the undergirding force. This stands in sharp relief to opaque projects that shroud their operations. XRP's cap supply, transaction burns that incrementally deflate it, and transparent escrow systems provide the clarity and predictability that banks and regulators demand. It's no surprise institutions are stacking up. They're wagering on this framework, activating transforming stagnant periods into explosive growth phases. Adding fuel, Ripple's fresh EMI license in Luxembourg, granted full approval by the CSSF after preliminary nods in January, positions them to issue digital money and offer payment services across the EA under MiCA frameworks. This regulatory milestone, combined with over 75 global licenses, underscores Ripple's lead in compliant infrastructure, outstripping competitors. And here's where the president's connections amplify this. His administration's push for crypto-friendly policies, including potential clarity on assets like XRP through bills he's hinted at signing soon, could create a ripple effect, pun intended, encouraging European regulators to align more closely with U.S. moves, turning bilateral partnerships into global standards. But Europe's not the sole arena buzzing with activity. Let's pivot to the Middle East, where developments are igniting in ways that loop right back to this wallet reconfiguration. Ripple's recent custody expansion via Cardinal Alt is enabling tokenized real estate deeds in Dubai directly on the XRP ledger, a move that's turning heads. And here's a stunner. They've already tokenized upwards of $280 million in certified diamonds. Tangible assets now zipping at digital velocities, safely vaulted, while their token counterparts traverse borders effortlessly. Billiton Diamond and Carl Alt selected the XRPPL for its blistering speed and minimal fees, demonstrating that real-world asset tokenization isn't vaporware. It's operational and thriving. This push into the Gulf equips Saudi banks and UAE entities with compliant instruments for safeguarding high-value assets, encompassing both native cryptos and tokenized real-world assets. Guys, consider the metaphor. Those vacant retail wallets echo like hollow chambers in a vast auditorium. But the true orchestra is these institutional repositories swelling with purpose. Diamonds are merely the opener. Imagine art collections, precious metals, or even supply chain inventories following suit. With Vera approvals on the horizon, scalability is imminent. It's downright ironic for maximalists to slam XRP's perceived centralization when this caliber of adoption trumpets its reliability and efficiency over chaotic decentralization. Moreover, Riyadh Bank's Geel arm inked anew with Ripple to probe blockchain's potential in Saudi Arabia, focusing on faster, cheaper cross-border payments, digital custody, and tokenization. This aligns with DXC Technologies' integration of Ripple's custody, RLUSD stablecoin, and payments into core banking systems handling trillions in deposits, bridging legacy finance with blockchain. Now, weave in the presidential catalyst. The president's tariff policies aimed at bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. are creating immense pressure on global payment systems. Factories and AI plants popping up to dodge tariffs mean non-stop cross-border flows. And XRP speed could be the fix. Analysts are buzzing that the president's team sees this, especially after that pivotal dinner, positioning XRP as key plumbing for the economic reset he's engineering. Venturing further east, the Moscow Exchanges Initiative is yet another thread weaving into this capitulation tale. They're rolling out crypto indices featuring XRP, Solana, and Tron throughout 2026, trailed by futures contracts for sophisticated hedging. This transcends simple listings. It's furnishing regulated avenues for Eastern institutions to gain exposure without direct holdings. Moscow processes over $60 billion daily across asset classes, a mere fraction channeling, and spells enormous liquidity influxes. Isolated from Western frameworks, Russia and Eastern Europe are forging their own paths, and XRP's spot in the lineup underscores a latent demand. Link this back. As petite wallets drained, these indices unlock gateways for savvy capital to accumulate discreetly. Draw historical lines to Bitcoin's 2013 and 2017 eras. Retail on way always heralded institutional influxes, culminating in dramatic upward gaps. XRP's supply concentration, with the top 15% commanding the lion's share, echoes that dynamic, amplified by inherent utilities like swift cross-border settlements. Absent endless inflation, the per-transaction burns foster deflationary pressures, magnifying scarcity amid surging demand. And let's not overlook Asia's ripples. Events like XRP Australia Sydney on February 27, 2026 at Crown Towers will convene Ripple execs like Brad Garlinghouse and Ross Edwards, with influencers delving into stablecoins, payments, CBDCs, and adoption. This gathering promises keynotes, panels, and networking, potentially unveiling new partnerships that bolster XRP's regional footprint. Tying into the president's vision, his administration's emphasis on not being a lame duck in 2026, as echoed by figures like Cathie Wood, suggests aggressive crypto pushes. With the president forecasting explosions in the space and XRP's inclusion in reserves, Eastern markets might align, creating a unified global liquidity network where XRP shines. Guys, psychology is where this retail surrender really resonates. And it's something I've witnessed across multiple cycles. Frustration builds to a crescendo, prompting exits mere moments before the pivot. It's innately human. Boredom erodes resolve quicker than any crash. Institutions, however, revel in it. Subdued volatility allows stealthy position building without inflating prices prematurely. XRP's active wallet count, a modest 5.5 million, dwarfed by Bitcoin's sprawling hundreds of millions. That's not a flaw, it's untapped potential. A modest 5% shift from BTC holders could instantaneously double it, crashing against that diminishing float like a tidal wave. Analyst forecasts peg end 2026 targets at $8, grounded in liquidity math. But some see even higher if catalysts like presidential bills materialize. Balance the immediate turmoil, recent ETF outflows, holder short-term losses with enduring triumphs. XRP bottomed at 150 late January, but rebounded with a 1.9% uptick on February 2nd, hovering around 1.62. Historical patterns suggest a 70% likelihood of February closing positive after 4 consecutive red months, a rarity unseen since 2017. Zooming out, formations indicate support between 1.25 to 1.150 and resistance at 1.70. Such resets frequently precede rebounds, akin to historical turbulence serving as mere ambient noise before a resounding surge. Yet predictions vary wildly. Some models fret over sub-$1 dips in February, while others eye 414 by year's end, with median February returns historically at 8.12%. Betting platforms lean toward under $2 by month end, but ETF inflows topping $1.3 billion counterbalance. Even amid dips, on-chain shows whales accumulating with $22 million exiting exchanges daily, signaling supply shocks. Delve deeper into the mental game. Fear of missing out flips to fear of holding on during lulls. But smart money knows that's when edges form. The president's crypto-friendly rhetoric, like hoping to sign market structure bills soon, injects optimism, countering despair, and turning psychological pain points into opportunities for those who endure. And this is where the excitement ramps up. Ripple isn't idling. They released 1 billion XRP on February 2nd, valued at $1.6363 billion. Yet the bulk was promptly recrowed, indicating meticulous supply management. Flare's latest upgrade empowers XRP holders to yield on FXRP, or collateralized borrowing sand, sales injecting DeFi vitality. RLUSD, Ripple stablecoin, is primed for EU expansion, eyeing a swift climb to 5 to 10 billion market cap through wormhole integrations and beyond. Boasting 75-plus licenses worldwide, Ripple surges ahead of peers in infrastructural prowess. Bank of England's proofs of concept via interledger harmonized currencies, envisioning remittances flashing affordably and transparently, aligning with ECB Chief Lagarde's interoperability advocacy. This exposes industry hypocrisy on transparency. Many projects obscure emissions or founder allocations, but XRP's protocols are transparent ledgers dismantling food systematically. Upcoming XRP Community Day on February 11th, 2026, via live X Spaces, will unite holders, builders, and leaders like Garlinghouse and Monica Long, with partners unveiling ecosystem grants, ventures, and institutional insights. This virtual global event celebrates XRP's utility and adoption, potentially dropping bombshells on RWAS and payments. Expand on this. Community events like these foster emotional bonds, turning holders into advocates. In uncertain times, reassurance comes from shared stories. I've heard anecdotes of folks who held through 2018's crypto winter, only to see XRP rebound on utility news. Now, with presidential backing, similar tales could multiply, building a resilient base, weaving it back to the core theme that 45% of empty wallets isn't true capitulation. It's the essential groundwork for revaluation. Retail's departure constricts the float, ceding dominance to players staking on Europe's bond infrastructures, Middle Eastern tokenizations, and Eastern indices. It's analogous to sound waves. Fleeting market chatter dissipates, but underlying catalysts amplify to a deafening crescendo. From global lenses, migrants sending funds to the Philippines or Mexico crave this velocity. Psychological nuggets reveal smart money thrives on fear, tackling aches like panic dumps. It's mitigated by enduring the hush. For beginners, XRP streamlines payments superior to sluggish, pricey options. For veterans, supply shock equations are irrefutable. Philosophically, this transcends wagers. It's reconstructing finance equitably. XRP's arc from speculation to utility encapsulates that unavoidable, exhilarating. The horizon, where vacant wallets herald fortitude, not frailty, invigorating communities poised for the vanguard. The connections are accelerating relentlessly. To elaborate further on the institutional undercurrents, consider how ETFs are serving as a stealthy buffer amid retail exits. Despite XRP slippage, inflows persist at around 1.36 billion AUM, with institutions snapping up via these vehicles, while leverage unwinds and futures interest hits lows. This paradox, price dips yet big money accumulates, hints at stabilization once speculative fervor rebounds. On social platforms, analysts note whales positioning amid fear, with one observing a classic wealth transfer from impatient hands to patient ones. Another highlights liquidated longs paving way for structure holds, suggesting early trend reversals. These insights reinforce that while sentiment sours, foundational buying underpins resilience. Dig into historical parallels. In the 2013 Bitcoin boom, retail fatigue gave way to enterprise entry. Much like today's setup, XRP's fixed supply mirrors gold scarcity. But with digital speed, burns ensured deflation, making it a hedge against inflation. The president's policies might stoke through tariffs. The president's geopolitics forcing carry trade unwinds might necessitate XRP for efficient flow speculation. But the order of his moves suggests strategic setup post-Ripple meeting. To build on catalysts, let's explore more on presidential ties. The president's family crypto ventures like mecoins on other chains show personal stake, but XRP's utility fits his America First narrative. Donations from Ripple execs to his campaign, over $300,000 from Alderodi alone, hint at aligned interests. Community buzz suggests deals where XRP handles pressure from repatriated capital with 18 trillion inflows stressing old systems. Banks poised to dive in post-market structure bill. As admin officials note, this isn't coincidence. It's orchestration. Historical like Nixon's gold standard shift. The president's crypto reserve could redefine money with XRP as rail. In a market driven by impulse and noise, clarity becomes an advantage. A simple reminder: speed creates mistakes, while calm evaluation creates strength. Pause. Thank you for the trust and for being part of a community that values logic over emotion. Patience is discipline. Rational thinking is protection. As always, the future isn't something to wait for, it's something to prepare for.